Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your guy Bendu. Yeah, so I'll hop on my computer and I'll hop on Twitter real quick to see what's going on. And you know, not surprised, but kind of like annoyed to find that Antifa's trending again. So and it was kind of saddening. Actually, I'm just gonna, let me preface it. Let me be professional. um, Apparently a group of what the internet and Republicans are calling Antifa members. As you can see, Henry Rogers' tweet right here. Threatened, vandalized, and pounded on his door while his wife and newborn daughter were inside Monday night. I scrolled down. Now I'm gonna get to this tweet in a minute, but I'm talking about this one right here. But this is what Josh Hawley had to say. Tonight, while I was in Missouri, Antifa scumbags came to our place in D.C. and threatened my wife and newborn daughter who can't travel. They screamed threats, vandalized, and tried to pound open our door. Let me be clear, my family and I will not be intimidated by left-wing violence. Okay. This is Melissa Tate. She says, Antifa is the terrorist arm of Democrats Party, the media, which is the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party. She's not wrong on that second part about the media being the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party. The first one, debatable. Will not even report on these acts. We the people are not going to be intimidated into giving up our freedom to these ravenous wolves. They can't stop us. We have to politically crush the left if we are ever to restore this nation to its God-given destiny. Okay, I'm just gonna keep reading. From top to bottom, from their lying, divisive media to their crooked politicians, all the way down to their minions that cause terror, violence, and destroy private property. The right loves private property. They love privatization. Not surprised by that. Although I'm not completely anti-capitalist, just kind of anti-capitalist, I guess. Nah, I'm really not fucking with capitalism right now, what it's been doing. But that's a different conversation. But after reading those, I'm like, holy shit, some shit must have went down. Like, they must have really vandalized his house. Because as you guys know, I want to get into this in the back half of this video, but I'm just going to talk about it up front here real quick. Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell's houses were vandalized as well, which nobody is batting an eye over there or gives a fuck. They deserve it. So I saw a couple of, I want to be like, you know what, let me see what these crazy Antifa people are doing. Here we go.
Dangerous attack on our democracy. Sir, we're not going to let people hold our democracy hostage. We're not going to let them infringe on our rights. Every ballot has been counted. It is over. So when democracy is under attack, what do we do? When democracy is under attack, what do we do? What do we do? We are not going to let these fascists, racist, and ignorant people come into our town and come into our community. D.C. has a mass mandate. Our coronavirus cases are twice as high as they were on March when the pandemic first came out. 9 months later, 10 months later, our government is allowing thousands of individuals to come into our city with no mask on, knowing that coronavirus cases are big as hell. So therefore, we're going to hold people accountable and hold political officials accountable who are trying to swindle the election, swindle democracy, and don't give a rat's ass about the American people. So when democracy is under attack, what do we do?
So much for this harrowing Antifa attack they've been talking about. Here's another video.
Biden Harris have won. Due diligence has been done. Biden Harris have won. Due diligence has been done. Biden Harris has won.
We need a constitution.
When democracy is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
When democracy is under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
And he quits his dangerous attack on our democracy. Sir, we're not going to let people hold our democracy hostage. We're not going to let them infringe on our rights. Every ballot has been counted. It is over. So when democracy is under attack, what do we do?
So yeah, so as you can see, Shorty was like, the little Shorty was drawing on the sidewalk and everything. So it's like, look, is it annoying? Yeah, but you're a fucking elected official. This is what you had to deal with.
You should talk to you. So you should talk to you.
Oh yeah, this is
a conversation.
I absolutely. No.
So look, I understand. Look, I see where Bull coming from. The old head, like basically he's saying, yo, like, look, bro, like we're trying to sleep, yada yada. We got kids, this and that. But it's like I push back on that by saying this is the whole point of a protest. Like, if you guys think this is bad, like, how about you go look at what they were doing at Jeff Bezos' house, what Christian Smalls and them were doing there. They brought out a guillotine outside of Jeff Bezos' house. So it's like, and I'm not against that at all. I'm for that. This is how you get your elected officials to work on behalf of you, and this is kind of like going into forced to vote territory a little bit, but this is what Jimmy Dore is kind of talking about. And, Josh Hawley is an elected official. This is like literally like, you sound like AOC right now, Josh Hawley. You sound like AOC telling Jimmy Dore that, he's committing violence. You sound like a snowflake right now, bro. You sound like a whole Kevin. Like, and that's, I'm not trying to sit here and just throw trendy names at you. I'm trying to make you aware that you are an elected official. If you cannot handle protesters coming to your house to hold you accountable for your actions, then you should not be in the position that you're in. You need to quit and take AOC and the rest of the fraud squad with you. Don't let the door hit you or the good Lord split you, okay? Because if you can't handle it, then you need to go. This is part of the job. Sorry, not sorry. Like, I don't get this shit. Like, I think it literally is, it's part of the Antifa, the Antifa dog whistle that the right, likes to blow and everything. And again, I'm not trying to sit here and just shit on the right. This is like, but it's just facts. Like, I'm sorry. And I'm not going to continue apologizing for that, but it's just facts. So it's like, and what's funny is like, Ro Khanna, like, on top of many things he said on Jimmy Dore's show, like, we need to force a vote for Medicare for all, then turn around and, don't pressure Pelosi and we don't get a vote for Medicare for all on the floor. But he also said, look, man, like, I know you be shitting on me. He didn't say it like this, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, look, bro, I know you be shitting on me, but guess what? I am one of the most powerful people in the world. If I cannot take a comedian criticizing me, I should not be having this job. So that goes to AOC, and that definitely goes to Josh Hawley now. If you can't take a bunch of teenagers, a bunch of young kids, pissed off kids who are probably struggling financially, economically right now, if you can't handle that, bro, then you should not be in office. Sorry. Not sorry again. The only thing I disagree with here is that they're protesting on behalf of Biden and Harris, which is complete dog shit because they're against your movement. They're against what you're talking about. Like, they're not for, economic recovery for the country. They're for promoting austerity, just like the Republicans are. And Josh Hawley is actually one of the only people that have been fighting for people economically. Now, I don't know for sure if he's one of the people that, he doesn't wear a mask and shit like that, which, okay, if he does, I'm one of those people, look, if you don't want to wear a mask, don't wear one. I don't give a shit. That's personally how I feel. I wouldn't force that mentality on somebody else. I don't get mad at other people who don't wear a mask because I wear a mask. When I feel like I'm, when I'm around a bunch of niggas, like a bunch of people, I'm sorry. I be trying not to use the N-word on this channel, but it'd be hard sometimes. I'm so used to using it. But when I'm around a bunch of people and everything, like, I do try to wear a mask. If I'm like around like 2 or 3 homies and shit like that, like, I'll take my chances with them, honestly. Because I know my bros ain't dirty, So, but, so that's where I'm saying, like, Josh Hawley just literally got finished fighting for stimulus checks. Now, I don't know if he was part of the $2,000 check effort. I don't know if he was willing to raise that number. But I do know him and Bernie Sanders were literally catching shit like 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, a week and some change ago, for standing up for getting stimulus checks in the stimulus bill, in the stimulus package that they were putting out. So this honestly kind of reminds me of the Rand Paul situation as well, when the Black Lives Matter people like went and protested at his, they waited for him outside of the RNC after he gave his speech, and then they ambushed him and basically like protested him, like surrounded him. Like, they didn't, as far as I know, they didn't put their hands on him. The police were there to protect him, but those people would not have put their hands on Rand Paul. The whole thing was to make him uncomfortable in protesting. That's the point of protesting, to make people uncomfortable, as AOC would say. But, she's not about making people uncomfortable. She's about cozying up to Mama Bear Pelosi again. not going to go too deep into that, but my issue with that then was that you're literally protesting the guy who's trying to introduce a bill on the floor, or he introduced a bill on the floor called Justice for Breonna Taylor. So that's where it was kind of like contradicting your message, because here's a guy actually, like, Kamala Harris didn't put that on the floor. Joe Biden definitely wasn't going to recommend putting that on the floor. He's just going to give you thoughts and prayers, because Joe Biden is the author and architect of the 1994 crime bill. So he doesn't give a fuck that he actually probably applauds this because his system is working effectively. His system is working exactly the way he wanted to when he designed it. He just can't remember that. So, but this is what protesting looks like: going to your elected official's house. I know here in Delaware, they recently protested the Wilmington mayor's house, and they showed up there and everything, and protested them there, like with the megaphones and everything. That's what a protest looks like. You may think it's annoying, but they have the right to do that, especially with an elected official. Like, come on. So to try, and I think it's kind of a cop out on Hawley's side and fucking and just like Republicans overall, like all the conservatives talking about it here. It's like, bro, like they're not like, sure, maybe Shorty shouldn't be drawn on the sidewalk. Fine, okay, whatever. I'll concede that to you, but they should be allowed to be there. They should be allowed to be there. Like, this is ridiculous. This is what our founding fathers fought for. This right here. Protesting, is not the whole point of protesting, again, is to make you uncomfortable. If you are comfortable with a protest, it's not going to push you to make change. That's the thing. And it's like, I feel like people have gotten used to this milquetoast version of protesting that we were given in the form of Martin Luther King, where our teachers never gave us the context of, Martin Luther King. But Martin Luther King was one of the most unpopular people in the country at the time. A lot of the country did not like him. And it's like, but he still kept pushing forward with his protest. However, they were able to show the context in which Martin Luther King was saying through showing the police brutality on television and basically broadcasting it to Americans across. Because literally all the people are seeing is the news, basically the news people telling you what happened and showing you clips of it. And actually, no, they weren't even, I'm dumb, because they didn't have clips at the time. But what I'm saying is the news people were basically telling you what was happening from the perspective of the establishment, basically demonizing these people. I think Malcolm X is the one that said it. The media will have you demonizing the oppressed. I believe that's how the saying goes, or something like that. I'm sorry if I'm not quoting it exactly, but to me, this is the Republicans' way of dismissing Black Lives Matter. Just the same way, like I say on the flip side of that, people calling Trump supporters deplorables are a way to dismiss the actual economic suffering that pushes people to vote for Trump, which is why I think he lost, because he wasn't talking that same populist message in 2020. So, but however, just going back to the point I just said, I think it's on both sides. It's misunderstandings and everything. And it's like, at this point, I don't care about the sides, like whether it's like, I don't give, and this is why I really don't give a fuck either way. I don't give a shit about this either way, because like Josh Hawley, like blowing the Antifa whistle and shit like that is going to rile up the right. Then you have the people on the left that are literally protesting on behalf of solidifying the Joe Biden winning the election. It's like, either way, you have a shit sandwich. And in my opinion, as you guys already know, I think Joe Biden is the greater evil than Donald Trump. So they'll probably disagree with me and get me the fuck out of here, but I'll say that to my dying breath. Like, Joe Biden is a worse candidate than Donald Trump. I think in some ways, he's like worse than Hillary, like in some ways, because in my mind, he has more of a track record of winning, and then he's the architect. This is the guy who thought of this shit. Hillary Clinton always came off as somebody who just like parroted shit she was told and parroted policies that were written and shit like that, whereas Joe Biden was the author of a lot of these things. A lot of people forget Joe Biden was also the author of the fucking Patriot Act. They basically took his version of the Patriot Act. I forget what it was called prior to that, but they took his version, his bill, and basically like extrapolated it word for word and just renamed it and called it the Patriot Act. So, and he was bragging about that for years until it basically, the bragging about the Patriot Act became unpopular. So that's just my thing. Like, protesting on behalf of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and everything is like fucking dumb in my opinion. And but the whole mask thing, the COVID thing, I definitely hear those plights, but end all be all, this is what a protest looks like. And again, to make my final point, and this will be my last point, this is why we will never be able to get shit in America, because we have too many people that drink the Kool-Aid of the establishment and swear they're anti-establishment. And it's like, look, I'm not trying to sit here and just shit on right-leaning people, because like, you guys are Americans too, and I respect your views. I think you're wrong. I genuinely think you're wrong, but you have the right to believe what you believe, but I also had the right to critique you. Just like y'all like to critique us, the left, and shit like that. We'll take it, because guess what? I feel as though I have facts to back up what I'm saying, just like you do. So I'm fine with having that discourse. However, like, I feel like a lot of right people get their panties in a bunch whenever you like critique their ideology, basically. Because it's like you can't on one hand like be for freedom and shit like that, talk about you're for absolute freedom, then as soon as somebody like makes their reasonable grievances that they have, as soon as they voice those reasonable grievances, and in the form of some of the things he was saying about COVID, like I said, I don't agree with the Biden Harris part, but you can't say people can't protest. And this is why Americans will never get shit, because you have people on the right that think everything's fine and dandy, and if you just like let Trump become president, then everything will continue going on. The country will continue going the way it was, which is over 50% of the people in the country live in or 75% of the country live in paycheck to paycheck, and I believe it's like 65% of the people making like $50,000 or less. Like, that's fucking ridiculous. Like, the minimum wage, like, we can't even raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Like, just a lot of the economic problems we have in this country. So, to you Trump supporters out there that think, his economy was good. Yeah, like, in terms of the wealthy and the establishment, it was good. Like, GDP was up, and the stock market was up, but that's how you measure rich people's wealth. This is the same way Obama measured his economy. And, he said we had a recovery from him, which we didn't. So, people in France don't put up with this shit. Like, you think this protest is bad? Go look at the protest in France. We would call it, like, I wouldn't, but people here, Blue Lives Matter crowd and shit like that, you guys would call that a riot. That's a protest in France. This is like, a kumbaya session in France. What I just showed y'all. That's a kumbaya session in France. France get down. They shut shit down. And then the 250 million people strike in India. Like, but again, we're too divided, which is why I feel like as of right now, shit like that can't happen in America. But I feel like we're getting closer and closer. The more people are pushed, the more the more willing they'll be to rise up in the way that we need to. And it's like, so that day happens, like, we're going to keep playing these partisan games like Antifa versus BLM bullshit. So yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and close the video out there. As always, thanks for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up button. Like me. Why don't you like me? Yeah, y'all going to like me. I promise. But if you don't, fuck you. And it's like, nah. But but comment, definitely hop in the comments. Let me know what y'all think. And I like when y'all talk to me. And yeah. I think that I don't have any announcements for y'all right now. I'm gonna make some announcements about whether I'm still doing inauguration or not. I'm trying to play it by ear about information on what's going on. So so I'm gonna go ahead and close it out there. Peace.